It's my great pleasure to have with us Ariel Garten, a neuroscientist, psychotherapist. She's the founder of Interaxon, the makers of this device called Muse, Brain Sensing Headband. Share with us a little bit about your path and how you got there and how you put all this technology together.
So I was always fascinated by the brain and how it works, and more importantly, how our brain creates our experience of life. And so I went to school for neuroscience, and as a neuroscientist said, this is fascinating, but how do we really apply it in a way that's going to be meaningful in people's lives? You know, this is great, this is the science behind it, but what's the psychology, what's the human interaction? So I became a psychotherapist, and as a psychotherapist, was still driving to understand how do we make people's lives better. Okay, I can do it one-on-one as a therapist, but how do I do it at large scale? So I began working with the technology in 2003 in the lab of Dr. Steve Mann, and it was an early brain-computer interface device.
You were also in design, so
I was also a clothing designer along the way, yes. So I was really fascinated by the world in multiple aspects.
So it's kind of a mix of art and science in some way,
yeah. I was fascinated as an artist and a designer and how we create experiences that help people see themselves or see the world in a new way. So as a scientist, you can understand how the world works, which is interesting, but in order to make transformational change, you need to be an artist. And you need to understand how you present to somebody an experience that allows them to shift, to see themselves differently, to see the world differently. Artists, when you paint a painting, you're showing somebody how you as an artist see the world. And you know, after you go and you see 20 Picassos, after you walk out in the street, everybody looks like a Picasso. You know, artists can change the way you see the world. So to me, this process has always been part art, part science, part technology. So in 2003, I was working in the lab of Dr. Steve Mann, and he's the guy who's credited as the inventor of the wearable computer. And he had an early brain-computer interface system that was a single EEG lead you'd put on the back of your head. And using that, we started to create concerts where people could make music with their mind. Yeah, so with a single EEG lead, you could modulate your brain state by focusing or relaxing, increasing your beta waves or your alpha waves, very, very simple. And doing that, we would link it into a sound system so you could actually start to make music. And we'd hook up 48 people at a time and everybody could make music together. And I stood back and said, like, wow, we are literally controlling the world with our mind and people need to know about this. And so we set about to take this technology out of the lab and find the best way that we could apply it to enhance human potential. And originally we thought we were going to create thought-controlled computing. We thought, okay, using this technology, we can let people control stuff with their brain. It's going to be great. So I made, myself and my co-founders, Chris Amony and Trevor Coleman, we made a levitating chair. As you would relax, the chair would rise. Oh boy. We did a project at the Olympics where people in Vancouver could control the lights on the CN Tower, the Canadian Parliament buildings, and Niagara Falls with their brain from across the country. So we're like, we can control big things with our brains. Yeah, so you would sit in Vancouver with an EEG electrode on your head, and we'd transmit that data 2,000 miles across the country to Toronto or Niagara Falls, and you would in real time, by monitoring and changing your brain state, we'd interpret that data and then be able to change the lights on these big buildings. Wow. So this was not weird, this was just technology. Yeah. As you shifted your brain state, that would trip a trigger. So if you increased your beta activity over, let's say 75% of what it normally was, we would then program the light on the CN Tower to go brighter. And if you increased your alpha activity, it would cause the color to change. So it was just very simple triggers, but we could attach them to your brain, and that was, the amazing leap forward. Typically, the trigger would come from a button press or keystroke, but now it can come from your brain. And this was extraordinary because you can allow somebody to, understand what it's like to have themselves projected, for the CN Tower, 1,800 feet up into the air. Their sense of self communicated to everybody all around. It was extraordinary. But it was not practical. So from there we said, okay, well, how do we really apply this technology in a way that's going to make a palpable difference in people's lives, that's going to really move the needle for humanity? And so the thought control technology might have been interesting for somebody who's disabled, but for someone who's able-bodied, you can still do things with your hands better than you can with your brain in terms of turning on lights or pouring beer with your mind. We had a thought-controlled beer tap. We had all sorts of silly thought-controlled things that are best left as experiments. Then we started to recognize that through this process of learning to control external objects with your brain, what you were really doing was learning to control your own brain. We were actually giving you real-time feedback on your own brain activity. And through this process, we were teaching people to enhance their beta waves or their alpha waves, to focus, to relax. And we could really use that as something extraordinarily powerful.
You went from there to monitoring meditation.
Yeah, so that was the step before meditation. The
Okay.
step before meditation was just the recognition that we could really teach people to manipulate their own brain state, that we could open the black box of your brain and actually let you know what's going on inside, and through that real-time feedback, teach you to do something with your own mind. And then as we sort of scanned through the range of possibilities that we could apply this technology to, this discovery of your own internal state, meditation became the most obvious one. And so meditation is something that's been validated in thousands and thousands of journal articles. It's, has extraordinary benefits in the brain, in the body, in society,
This is what I'm used to teach, is the less expensive placebo on
Yes.
earth. It's like it can touch any aspect of your life, and prevent the most disease. Is incredible. And
It's extraordinary.
Yeah.
But so few people actually do it. And that's because it in many ways can be very hard to do. Most people just think you're supposed to let their mind go blank and maybe have a spiritual moment. Like neither of those things are really how you actually meditate. So we recognized that we could create a device that would take this somewhat opaque process of meditation and make it transparent for you, and actually show you what goes on in your brain during meditation, so that you can get real-time feedback and understand what your brain is supposed to do during a basic focused attention on the breath meditation. And so we then started this journey of creating Muse, the meditation tool. And we started by, actually early on when we started, we couldn't call it meditation because there was still not a popular cultural movement towards it. We would tell people this is a cognitive trainer, you're gonna strengthen the muscles of your brain. And every now and again somebody would say isn't this like meditation? And we'd be like, do you meditate? And they'd say, yes, I do. And then we'd say, this is meditation. And then over the last 5 years, there's been an extraordinary groundswell in meditation, and it's no longer a secret. And so it's something that we can proudly go to market to, and makes it in demand. But really, when we started with this meditation tool, the market was not ready for it. It's fascinating.
And at the same time, you had other brain sensitive headband that were going in other direction.
Yeah.
I try all of them, but the fact that this one was so it's not just aesthetic, but you wear it and you don't even
You don't even know it's there.
you don't notice. To put the sensor that you will explain in a few minutes and create the design was also very original to this technology.
Thank you. Yeah, so there was lots of different things that we needed to overcome in the process of creating this. So as you mentioned, one was the physical design. Prior to this, EEG was a goopy mess of sensors on your head. Yeah. And so we had to improve the technology so we could really get great dry sensor EEG, so that we could get good contact every time. We developed this form factor that was going to be slim and easy to use, and something that could adjust on every forehead. We looked at hundreds and hundreds of foreheads across cultures to make something that was going to effectively fit. And we pioneered these soft sensor conductive EEG, so carbon conductive EEG behind the ears. So there's sensors on the forehead, 2 frontal, sensors behind the ears, 2 temporal, and then the reference is here at
In the center.
FPZ in the center. Yeah. And then we had to create an algorithm that was going to understand when you were in focused attention and when your mind is wandering. So we built Muse to teach you specifically focused attention on the breath meditation. There are many forms of meditation, but focused attention on the breath is often one of the first ones you learn. Yeah. And it's the very simplest. You focus your attention on your breath, your mind wanders, you notice that it's wandered, and you bring it back to your breath. Very, very simple. And as you do this, amazing things happen. You recognize you are not your wandering mind, that you're able to actually have control over where your mind goes.
Now you start to hear the birds.
So what Muse does is it gives you real-time feedback while you meditate. And the metaphor we use is your mind is like the weather. So when your mind is wandering, distracted, you actually hear the storm pick up. And as you come to clear focused attention, you quiet the storm. So you're able to know when you're meditating, as soon as your mind wanders, it picks up. When you come back, it gets quiet. And then when you remain in focused attention, then you start to hear little birds tweeting. Yeah. So that's your, encouragement that yes, you're there, yes, you're there.
So I experienced myself too. Of course, I was doing meditation for many years. I knew I was in this moment of silence and transcendence, but then you have like a confirmation. The feedback of having a report, of your mind, as you said, wandering or being in the space, is very reinforcing. But this is not the end of the story. As it grows, then you have also other software, one called the Muse Connect,
yes,
that allow the practitioner to train the people, the client to meditation, but also to monitor them at distance. So this is another feature that is also very interesting.
Yep, so Muse, as you suggested, it gives you real-time feedback while you meditate, and at the end you get data. So you're actually able to see what your brain was doing at every moment in your meditation. And so we then created a dashboard called Muse Connect that practitioners can use to log in and see any of their clients and see what their sessions looked like, what their data was each session, see if they haven't meditated, be able to send them messages to come back on board. So it becomes a fantastic tool for a practitioner to manage a patient's meditation practice. So as a practitioner, in the past as a psychotherapist, I would recommend meditation to my patients, to my clients. And they would go home and about 50% of them would say, I tried it and I didn't know what I was doing and I felt really weird and I felt worse. Here I am. Some of them would say, that was amazing. And I'd say, how often did you meditate? Twice during the week, the whole time. For how long? 7 minutes. I'm like, okay, well, I'm glad you had an amazing 7 minutes, but we need to do this every day. And so now clinicians can literally just hand a patient a device. Say, you want to meditate? Here's this thing called Muse. It'll teach you how to meditate. It'll give you real-time feedback. It'll show you exactly what you need to do. And you can actually track your patient with Muse Connect so you can see that they've meditated each and every day. And then when they come back in the next week, you can actually go over their sessions. You can say, hey, I saw some spiky stuff here. I saw your mind was very active in this session. What was going on for you? How did that feel? Do you have some reflections? And it really becomes a starting point for a conversation about their mind. Absolutely. And a conversation about their practice that helps them understand more and more nuances of it.
And Quantum University is, I think we have organized this now for almost 2 years. Now you have a tool where you can coach people to meditation, and probably different kind, because came on board people who were teaching mindful meditation or TM, or and myself doing what I call the pro-consciousness meditation. Before that, it's like you could suggest, but there was no way to reinforce, to motivate, to see where your client is. And so I think that will probably be recognized as an event in the history of medicine. Why? Because meditation is so important.
Yes.
We were speaking about this a few minutes ago. All the benefit of meditation. I am in this Exponential event, and it's all now about digital technology and preventing disease, and probably the queen of the prevention is meditation. And here you have put together this technology. So it's fantastic, but it's not the end of the story. Now you have other software that has been also developed, like MindLift.
Yes. There's our own tool called Muse Direct, and Muse Direct gives you just real-time data on the EEG. A lot of people wanted to see EEG, so you can either connect it to your computer and use what we call Muse Labs and see the raw EEG, or you can use Muse Direct, which is a very simple program on your iPhone. And you can see anybody's level of alpha, beta, theta, delta, so you can see their real-time band. You can record that data, you can share the files. And then on the Muse, there are other sensors. There's an accelerometer on Muse 1, so you can also get all of that data at the same time. And then there's other companies who've built applications on top of Muse. So one of them is MindLift. MindLift is a startup out of Israel, and they've built a beautiful suite of software that gives you essentially real-time neurofeedback.
So it's like opening neurofeedback to the mass, because before to do neurofeedback, you have to do consultation, and the cost of this training were very expensive. But now it could be available to almost everybody. Would you agree with that, or?
Yeah, most everybody who still has some amount of training to do neurofeedback, you still need to know what you're doing. But MindLift has done a fantastic job of creating a software package and experience that guides a professional to really do the right thing?
So for me, I see it as like human potential. It's
Yes.
in one way you can, use neurofeedback to treat disease, but the other way you can also look at neurofeedback in a sense to increase your performance, increase your capacity of resilience, increase your capacity of concentration, even for athlete, performance. So this is another very exciting field that is now will be available to this technology.
Yeah, the possibilities for human enhancement are phenomenal. And we spend so much of our time focused in medicine on disease and curing disease. And now that most of us, have clean water and good food and know what we should be doing, it's the opportunity to really figure out how we enhance. How we enhance our longevity, how we enhance our body's health, and how we enhance our connectivity. How we become nicer people, how we become more connected as a society, how we try to enhance not just ourselves, but ourselves within the world around us.
Yeah, this is what I call the theme of self-actualization, how we define health. Health is just a few years ago was defined as an absence of disease. Now, we have evolved to, I am healthy because I have more energy, but now it's a step after is how you integrate all the aspects of your life, and probably meditation is an important one. But other news now, you have another
new device.
A new device, an upgrade,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, so the device that I've actually been holding up today is Muse 2. So Muse 2 is actually just launched. This is brand new. There's like 100 of them in the world. And Muse 2 is really beautiful because it is smaller and slimmer than the original Muse. We now have gold sensors, so different connectivity on it. And we've added a new sensor. So if you look inside here, there's a PPG sensor right there. And so it's pulse oximetry, and it's going to sense your heart rate. So
you have the heart rate variability.
Yep. So
this is very important.
The original Muse was just EEG sensing, so we had all brain-based experiences. Now with new Muse, we've added 3 other dimensions to it. So it's tracking the heart.
The heart.
So you get real-time feedback on your heartbeat, and it's a beautiful experience. It's not simply seeing a number on your wrist and matching to the number. You actually hear the sound of your heartbeat in real time as a drum.
Wow.
So it's this immersive experience that allows you to deepen your sense of interoception and be able to actually understand your heart and its rhythms and its own experience, and then to learn what allows you to calm it and guide it.
To adjust the optimal breathing with your
Yes.
your heart, right? This is the purpose of heart rate variability, is to find your optimum breathing.
There's also breath sensors inside the device, and that allows you to, it tracks all of your breaths, and it guides you through a number of different breathing exercises. So you can breathe as you would to try to find the optimal heart rate variability, something that you do when you have anxiety, your stability breathing with a short increase and then a much longer exhale to allow you to slow down your heart rate. So it guides you through a suite of different breath exercises.
Wow. So when I created the bio-neurofeedback course, the 2 most important modality was brain coherence, through meditation, and the other one is heart rate variability, because there it's like you hit all the you can prevent all the cardiovascular risk, and it's tremendous. If you can train people at a higher rate brain coherence and heart variability, you can prevent probably, I'm going to say 90%, but it's really changing the risk factor of most of the population. So now you have the both. It's incredible.
Yeah, there's also a third modality that we've built into it, and that's movement sensing.
Okay.
So for a lot of people, simply being still is the beginning of their meditation practice. So we have posture sensors and movement sensors that give you real-time feedback on your posture to help you find a comfortable, pain-free way to sit, and then guide you to like gentle movements and let you know when you're fidgeting, and let you guide yourself into stillness. And soon we'll also have walking meditation
And
inside
train
of it.
maybe to be in the now, or is it has something to do with this, right? In
Absolutely.
The moment present, yeah.
So you find yourself in the present, you can find yourself in stillness. There's lots of different ways that movement can guide your mental activity.
So it seems to cover all the aspect. If you know how to be in the now, you know to meditate, you master your heart rate variability, I think you're pretty in good shape, or prevent a lot of risk factor. So, and how do you see the future? Because it's, 2 years ago, it's not, how many years now? It's just a few years ago.
Yeah, 4 years ago, the
Four
first Muse
years,
came
and now
out.
you already have all this software in this. So what is the future now?
So in the future, you're just going to see the experiences building. So, we just added these new sensor capabilities, so you're going to see more and more experiences around these sensor capabilities. And then you're going to be able to see the fusion of brain sensing and heart sensing and what that means for big data. So we're already able to find in our database markers for brain health. And so adding the new heart rate data is going to allow us to really have a new kind of understanding as to brain and body health, because we have the kind of data that's never been seen before. So every time you meditate, you're actually contributing to the state of the art in terms of understanding the brain and the body and how it's healthy.
And do we see community emerging of this technology, or?
Absolutely. So we already have a Muse community that's online. As soon as we put it up, it was populated with thousands of people who talk about their meditation every day. They share their results, they post, they talk about techniques that work for them, difficulties they've been having. And the most amazing thing is that everybody knows it's a loving community. Yeah, and so they talk about how they love and support one another, complete and total strangers. So, you've got the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, and the Sangha community is a key part of any practice.
We at Quantum University, we have also create community of people, but we have also a project called Project Noosphere. And it's like a meditation project, then the center is like heal yourself, heal the world. And also we gather, but we probably can connect with you.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
That would be amazing, yeah. We have also among the university people writing PhD, doing research, and I believe this will be also an incredible tool to build research projects.
So we have lots of different researchers that use Muse, neuroscientists and non-neuroscientist researchers. There's over 175 papers already written using the Muse device. Some of them use it as a meditation tool, so you can implement a meditation practice in a study and really be able to track if somebody's complying. So in the past, if you tried to do a study on meditation, really knowing if somebody's complied was very difficult. And now you can really see the compliance, the amount of compliance, and you can even potentially track your results around the degree of meditation that somebody achieved. So you can say, well, these people didn't meditate a lot, these people meditated and had amazing results, these people meditated a lot, have poor results, and you can potentially, chunk up your data based on those different groupings. So it allows you to do really interesting meditation research. It also allows you to do really interesting broad-scale neuroscience research. So in the past, if you wanted to run an EEG study, you would get a single participant in the lab and try to, define their experience inside of a laboratory setup. Now this allows you to do broad-scale EEG out in the world. So you could have, hundreds of people participating in an EEG study and look at data in an entirely novel way.
And is there a place where our student can refer a website so that they can be inspired how to design their research, or is there?
So on our website, there is a page that shows some of the research studies that have been done.
Okay, interesting, yeah.
Yeah, one of the fun ones that's up there is from a lab in UBC. They took muses up into the Himalayas with monks.
Himalaya.
And they had, monks wearing red robes meditating, and they used it for a study in cognition. And so they had the monks meditating for a period of time, doing a compassion meditation versus a focused attention meditation. And then they were able to measure their ERPs in different cognitive tasks after these two different forms of meditation.
So are these guys doing well, or?
The guys were doing really well. They meditated amazingly.
They are really good in meditation?
They were amazing in meditation, but the question that the researcher was looking at is, after these two different forms of meditation, which is able to give you a better response on like a go-no-go task or on a cognitive task. And so they discovered that doing a focused attention meditation actually gave you a better cognitive result immediately after the meditation. So there's lots of fun ways that you can use the data. That would happen to be a meditation example, but MIT, for example, has used Muse to look at pain. So they were able to classify pain using this device, if somebody put their hand in a bucket of ice or not. And they could build a classifier that after a few sessions was able to predict if somebody was in pain or not. They came up with some algorithm based on the overall data that they were getting from the device.
Yeah. For you, what is the major social, economic impact
So for me, I mean, my deep belief is that if everybody meditated, we'd have a significantly better world. We would have a kinder world with, less war, less drama, less difficulty. Meditation is one of the best things you can do to enhance your social interaction. Meditation is also one of the best things that you can do for your body. So a study coming out of the Partners Healthcare System, not our own, looked at 17,000 people, 13,000 controls, and 4,400 who had gone through a relaxation response course where they learned yoga and meditation. And they tracked their healthcare utilization the following year. And those that had done this 8-week relaxation response course had a 46% decrease in their healthcare utilization the following year.
Wow.
46% less healthcare usage over the year.
It's incredible.
So when you ask, what's the healthcare implication of this, or what's the economic implication of this, it's really significant. So, the investment in time or the investment in dollars for a device to meditate every day pays off in spades. We saw Aetna did a very famous study with their participants, with their employees, teaching them meditation, and they saw that $117 per employee in meditation led to a dramatic impact in their bottom line. They were able to save significant amounts of money both on their productivity and on their healthcare costs.
So, but how this is received from, people, doctors or, the healthcare?
The reception from doctors is great. Doctors get it. They've been trying to get their patients to meditate for years, typically very unsuccessfully. And that's often because the doctor themselves doesn't know how to meditate. And so it's also an intervention that is being widely used now in hospitals for doctors and nurses in frontline care to reduce burnout. So doctors get it, everybody loves it. It's still a ways to convince a healthcare system to implement it.
This is what I'm thinking now.
We're still a ways from healthcare systems really being able to see the light. But enough studies that come out demonstrating the economic impact of it over time, you're going to get healthcare systems.
Do you think in America the insurer is could be more sensitive because they are more connect with the costs,
Yes. But again, for an insurer to do something, they need to see large volumes of data to demonstrate its impact. And over time, we'll get there.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
That was really great. Thank you very much.
My absolute pleasure.